Okay, I've got things mostly working in here. I still have that weird pink issue that comes up, but let's try this again in my new test world that you can see here is a little bit different thanks to an accident. But here's my green light pitch shown out in 3D space instead of drawn, because I can't do that. All right, so you'll see before me on a table here a bunch of objects. Basically, my premise here is I want to take anything you're programming in VR and bring it into the world, into a physical object. You know, yes, it's nice to have this cute little menu over here that I can point at and decide things done in a graphics interface that's the same as any other game. You've got a widget. You're basically recreating a mouse and keyboard doing this. You're in VR. You don't need to do that. So instead of that, I'm taking object-oriented programming, or as I'm going to call it now, ODD, object-oriented design, instead, and using that with Epic's new enhanced input system, which allows you to put all of your programming functionality onto an object and still have inputs that change when you pick it up, like this gun. Everything about this gun, the projectile, all of that, well, the actual projectile it shoots is its own blueprint, but you can change all of that in here. You can activate, you can pull the trigger and shoot. It's still a functional object. You can do all sorts of things with this. What I want to do instead is do the same thing with a menu. So you have this little television, text above it. You have a disk, which would be for your save. This is your displays. Basically, each one of these things is their own visual language to tell you exactly what you want. Okay, I want to change my audio. I grab the speaker, and then I do a motion, and that will change what aspect of sound I am trying to change. Like it might be background music, might be character voices, that. And then a different motion will change your volume. Right now, as a proof of concept, I just have a text box up here that will change and tell you what it has changed to when I get it programmed. But this goes beyond just making a nifty little menu that I can pass along to everyone that you can pick up and put in any game. You can do all sorts of things like with it. Like, again, with this gun, for example, you could put a motion in that changes the projectile or that activates the laser sight or whatever that might go with this. This here's something special I'm planning because right now you have your display, your saving, which is a CD, this door, which will be your travel. But you don't have, you could put all of these on one item, but that just means you have more motions you have to do or set up a switching system and have to remember all of them. This way, you're cutting down how much anyone who's using it needs to memorize. All they have to do is grab the object that is associated with that particular menu and use it. And then you can dismiss or make these appear at will, or you will be able to. Something like this would be for adding gesture functionality to something in the world, but you're putting all of that out into the world. Your controls aren't on your controller. They're not in your player. They're part of, this is a remote for whatever. So this has the functionality of a remote. And that's just the basic premise of all of it, is moving in so you can make things a simple, easy gesture that is anyone can understand or use. And eventually you don't even need to memorize or remember, okay, you could get down to the point where you just know 2 clicks forward and a turn is turning your volume for your background music. It all depends on your memory, but you don't have to have a big sprawling screen in front of you. Things like your character screen that normally pops up in a menu, make a mirror up here in VR. When you see your reflection, alongside it might list all your stats, things your players can physically see. You are in a physical world, for lack of a better term for it. Use it that way. Don't know what else to say here, so for the moment, I'm going to sign off. As soon as I get this button to work. Come on.